Hi, my name is Hayley Miller, and I am going to be talking to you about using Edulastic in the classroom today. I am an eighth grade math teacher at Tuslaw Middle School. I have been using Edulastic. I think this is my fourth year. I can't remember where I learned about Edulastic, but I believe it was actually maybe at the Spark Tech Conference a few years ago. But I stumbled upon it at some point in time, and I am using it daily, weekly, every year in my classroom. And I think that it is helping the students retain a lot of their math content from previous years as well as the current year. So let me talk a little bit about Edulastic. It's a free platform. There is a premium version that you can buy for $100 a year per teacher. I am able to get along with just the free platform. I don't know what features the premium version has, but I know that for what I'm using it for, I can use it and see results just with the free platform. If you are a Google Classroom school district that uses a lot of Google Classroom features, it is very Google Classroom friendly. In fact, you can set up your classes in Google Classroom, and then with one button on Edulastic, you can upload all of those classes into the Edulastic platform, and they are already there. Edulastic also has multiple subject areas. It is science, math, ELA, and history, and there's a couple other courses that you can click on. It's for grades pre-K through the 12th grade. So you can go in there at any age level for any subject. One of the features that I love is the instant feedback and grading that comes with it. So you'll get to see that whenever we go into the actual Edulastic platform. What is Edulastic? Edulastic is a database that has hundreds of thousands of questions with their answers already there. It has many tests available that are already made. And it has different standard options in case you are using anything other than the Ohio standards. It does have different standard options in there, and those are all through a drop-down menu, and you can pick and choose which ones that you want to use. It's very user-friendly, and you'll see that whenever we go in, it basically walks you through a lot of the suggestions and the things that we want to pick and choose to get our questions. Where does the database come from? The database is actually made from teachers all over the place, and they can publish their tests. They can put the questions out there, and it has reference to who made them and what they standards they are covering, and you can go out there and make your own if you want. So it is very user friendly, and I want to show you now what we are going to look at is the I guess what I call why do I use it in the classroom, and why I feel it is very a good use of a platform. Okay, so uses in the classroom, honestly, they're endless. They are anywhere from just a little quick check to a test. So I've listed these. I use them mainly for weekly homework assignments. I assign them on a Friday, and they have until the next Thursday at the end of the day to actually get them done and submitted. And they can actually check their work before they submit it, or I can give them feedback, and they can ask me which questions are right and wrong. I use it for a spiral review, especially for state testing that we just got done doing. I can base it on the standards, or they even have tests out there that are the released air practice tests for what we use. And you can just assign those practice tests to them, and they will pull up right here on Edulastic, and the students can go in and work the answers out, and then you'll see the results. Specific content quizzes. If you want to do a quiz on order of operations, you can go in and make a quiz, a 10-question quiz, a 5-question quiz. The students can go in, take that quiz, and you can automatically see which question they got right and wrong and which ones they're struggling with. Chapter test, you can make an entire test on here over what you have learned in the chapter. Pre and post assessments. This is good for if you want to capture data, see what they knew before you taught the chapter or the lesson, and then assign it again to them afterwards. HQT data collection. I know that's a big thing. So I actually used it this year for that data, where I could see what their scores were previously. And then when they actually learned the material, they could do the same Edulastic again, and I could see how much better they scored. And it's also a good thing for distance or remote learning. I know we just came out of the pandemic, and those were things that we were trying to figure out what to do and how to educate our students during that time. So you can assign it as long as the student has a computer at home, they can get on and do this. Now, one thing with that, it does not work on iPhones or cell phones. They do have to have a computer for it to work for them. That was the one thing that I found when students didn't have computers, that they were struggling. They could get on their iPhones and see it, but it didn't record the answers. So maybe that comes with the premium version. I don't know, but that is one thing with remote learning that you have to be careful with. So I am actually going to click out of here and get on a new tab. I'm actually going to open up my Edulastic here, and I'm going to show you how to go through the Edulastic, but I'm kind of going to do it a little backwards because I want you to see what it actually shows you for student data first, and then we'll go back and we will, I'll show you how to navigate through the database. So you type in edulastic.com, and I have a login. It says join for free. So it is a free platform. There's a login here, and these are all of my classes that I have already set up for this year. So I have the different periods in here. This is the dashboard. This is where you can go. It's the first thing that you'll see when you go in. Your classes will be there if you sync them, or you can set up classes right in Edulastic with a code. I've never had to do that because we use Google Classroom, but you'll see that I have, 5 classes here, and then an Edulastic class. I use this, I gave 38 assignments this year. So I used it pretty heavily when we were studying for the, or reviewing for the state air practice test. So I gave them short assignments, maybe 8 questions or 10 questions. And I was then able to see which ones they got right and wrong and which ones I need to help them with. So I'm going to show you, this is my Edulastic class that I made with some of my students. I got parental permission for them to participate in this presentation. So I'm going to click on this right here, and it's going to take you over here to assignments. So these assignments, if there's more than one in that class, it will show up here. And the status right here means it is done. That means that all the students have either completed it on time, or I closed it out so that they only had a certain time frame to do it. So then I closed it out. Here tells you how many kids submitted it, 8 of 9. It's for 8th grade. Over here, there's a bunch of different actions that you can do. This drop-down menu, though, we'll see other places, but it's pretty self-explanatory. And so you can preview the actual test that you gave. You can assign it again. You can print the test for those people that maybe don't have computer access, or they might have been absent. You can print the actual test and they could do it on paper. The release scores button is you can release the scores right after, or you can wait until all students are done, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then all of these other ones, view summary report, you can edit, you can download responses. So a lot of that is self-explanatory there. But what I want to go into is I want to click on this done. And so this is what you will see, and this is your card view of all of the students in the class here. So I have 9 students that took this Edulastic for me, and I will tell you that I told the students what I would like them to do because I wanted to give you a variety of things that you can see and how it will look for you. But up here is the overall summary of the class. And so it looks like question 6, only one person might have gotten it correct. So I would look at that question and say, oh, I wonder why they're struggling with this question. And then I could go and I can explain it to the whole class, or I could just eliminate that question if I looked at it and said, yeah, I can see why they're getting this wrong. It's not something that we've learned, or I can use it as just something to reteach the students about. They could just be getting one thing wrong. They might not be reading the question in its entirety. So you can look up here and see which ones are good questions that they're answering and which ones they're struggling with. The yellow, well, it tells you right up here what each of the colors mean. So obviously green is correct, red is incorrect, yellow is partially correct, and you can see up here what the different colors are. You can see over here the average score of this particular test that they submitted, and you can go and look at the students individually. So this person scored a 4.5 out of 16. This time right here, obviously they were doing it quickly for me, but you can see how much time they spent on it. It says that it's graded, and they submitted it on May 9th. The questions, you can look at it here. And so this would be question 1. And down here, it gives their initials as to who got it right and wrong. So if you saw that question was, let's go to question 6. Then you can see that, oh, this person, Braden, got it right. So I could even pull Braden up to the board and say, Braden, explain to me and the rest of the group how you solved this question. And, the peers can then teach the others in the class. So back to the front here. When I assign an Edulastic, I look and see, I can see how far that they have gotten throughout the week. So daily, I remind them about their Edulastic. And I also go in and I will say, okay, so Nathan, it looks like you are done, but you've missed question 2 is partial, question 4 is wrong, question 6 is wrong, 10 is partial, 12, 13, and 16 are all incorrect. You need to go back and look at those and fix them. So they'll go back and they'll look at their questions and answers. So it's a lot of reteaching, relearning, finding your own errors. That's one thing that I encourage them to do. Sometimes they just want you to give them the answer. And I'll say, well, you can look at your notes. You can look at the resources that I gave you online. I'll ask them questions, leading questions about the ones that they got wrong. So it also opens the communication with the students. So every day I'll remind them about what they have to do, and I'll even go in and specifically talk to the kids about which ones they got right and wrong. Also, I use it so that they can learn to communicate with me through email. So instead of having 75 kids come into my room throughout the day, I'll say, if you want to know what you got on your Edulastic, just email me and ask me, and I will take a screenshot of just this little card here, and I will take a screenshot of it. It'll capture it. And then I'll send that right in an email to them, and then they can look and see which ones they got right and wrong. So, so this guy over here, it looks like he got 8 of them done, and then these blacked out ones mean that he looked at them, but he didn't answer them. So you can say, okay, why didn't you finish this? I want you to finish it so you can get some full credit for it. And then this person right here didn't do so hot. So I would redirect that, meaning that I would say you need to do it again. This person got 100%. So he took his time and he really worked hard on it, and he got 100%. This person right here, they were absent. Maybe they were out for a few days. Again, I do encourage them to work on it when they get it. When they're out, they have a computer at home. So I do encourage them to work on it, because by the 5th week of the school year, they know that they're going to have an Edulastic and that it's going to be due on Thursday. And so when they're out, they can work on it at home and still keep up with some of their work. So in this case, this person might have been on vacation, might have been out sick for a week, so they will have to redo it for when they return, or I can reschedule it for them. So you'll see that all of these have different varying answers. Oops. So I'll go back to card view here. So for instance, now I talked about the redirecting. So if it's in graded status, that means that the student can no longer go into that assignment and change any of their answers. But there's a status called in progress. And if it's still in progress, you can still see this card view, and you can tell them, hey, don't submit it because you have this many wrong and you need to fix these ones before you submit it. So then a lot of times the students will come to me before they even get it completely done. I really try to encourage them to go through all of them first and do as many as they can. But they'll say, say, which questions do I have right and wrong on Edulastic? And so either they'll email me or they'll come up to my desk during class time, and I'll rattle off the numbers. They write them down. And so this person, she didn't do so well. You can see the percentages here. And so I require them to get 90% or higher or close to 90% because they can do it as many times. They are not limited. If you redirect it, they are not limited to just one more time. So you can set that up however you want to. If you want to just see how they would do after one try, then you set it up and tell them they only get one try, and they get the results that they get. But if you see that they're struggling, you can say, nope, you got to go do it again. Nope, you got to go do it again. So they can do it as many times as you want them to. So I want this person to try again, and I've talked with this person. So I am going to click this blue box here. When I click this blue box, I can go over here. I can go over here to the redirect button, and I can click it. But here's the thing. Once you hit that redirect button, it takes this card view away with the ones that are right and wrong. So I'm going to redirect it. It always asks for a time, like a close date. I just leave that, let it go. Usually it gives them, so it's going to give her until May 14th to do this again. But I'm going to hit redirect. And you'll see that when I did that, this all changed because it basically took her scores and took them out of that grouping. And now attempt 1, she got a 30% roughly. She will have to go back into her side of it and complete this again. And so she'll have to complete it, and then I'll see what she got here. But it won't come up in this nice card view. You'll have to go into her actual status here, and you can see her first attempt right here. And her second attempt, obviously she hasn't done anything with it. But here's the thing with the second attempt. So we can't see it on our side, but, oh, there, we can see it right there. Her answers are still in the system, and she can see her original answers still. So it doesn't take the answers away from the students at all. They can go in and they can see what they previously answered, and then they can say, oh, okay, I have to change my answer. So when we do that, then they have to actually click through every single answer. Even if they don't change it, they have to click through it. So that's one thing that I found was kind of tricky with this, that she might redo it and think that she's only going to redo part of them and do the ones she got wrong. But if she doesn't click through the answers that are correct, then it's not going to capture them again. So back over here to this card view. I think that's everything for that. Up here at the top, the standards-based report, you won't see anything. It might be with the premium, but the settings right here. So these settings are really important too, because I opened it on May 8th at 7:48 p.m., I guess, and it's closing on May 14th because I redirected that person. But you can set these times ahead. So like sometimes I would set the next Edulastic on a Thursday morning and it wouldn't open until Friday for them. This one right here is a big one that you don't want the scores to be released right away, because then the students can see the right answers and then cheating goes on, and there's just a lot of things that will happen there, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So some of these are grayed out because they come with the premium version. And so all these ones that are grayed out, They are with the premium version because I can't even change it. So, and it says over here when I'm on it, you'll see over to the right there, it says it's with a premium version. So those would be available if you purchase the premium version. So then if I did any changes, you would hit update. You have to hit update. It says no changes to be saved because I didn't do anything. But if I wanted to, then you would have to scroll down here and hit update, or your changes won't happen, which that has happened to me a few times that I've forgotten to do that. So with that, I am going to show you quickly about the item bank. And right now I have in 8th grade mathematics. If I take those out, there's 479,000 items found in here. You can search by keywords. This is the entire library. You can change it to created by me, shared with me. You have all of these different drop-down menus and items. So if I wanted to put in here, I can go into grade 8. I can go into all subjects, but I'm going to pick mathematics. I want the all standard set, and I don't want any specific, well, I'll pick a standard. Collections. Private library is usually what I pick, but you can do actually the public library is what I pick. And there's still 23,000 items found for the public library, all in 8th grade mathematics. Question type, you can do all types, you can do multiple choice only. So there are numerous ways that you can do this. Depth of knowledge is there, difficulty level, all levels I put on there. So if I want to go back in here and I want to do questions on, let's see, functions. I'll put functions in there. And so now that has dropped this down to 3,417 questions. I can go over here, view it. There's the question. It shows you the answers, and you can go through and select that question if you want. So I'm going to add that question. So I'm creating a test with one item. So then I look at the next one. I'm like, oh, I don't like that one. So I'll go to the next one. I can look at it. I'm going to add that one. There is another way that you can go in and view all the questions and expand the rows, but this is just one way that you can do that. I'm just trying to give you an idea of how to set it up. I know this webinar is not about how to set it up, but it's about how I use it. Okay, so I'm going to jump off of there. Tests right here, there were 8,000 tests found. You could search the entire library. These are the ones created by me. I've created 68 tests. That's over the course of several years. You can modify your test. You can add things to your test. You can delete things from your tests. I mean, you can go in and make this however you want it to be. This is the one that I had my class this class for this seminar take. And so I could go in, I can assign it, I can preview it so I can see all the questions that are in there. I don't have to answer them. I can just go through and say, oh yeah, these are the questions that I want them to answer. I can, with the more button, this is where I can go in and I can check the details. I can clone it, make a copy of it, and add and subtract items. Preview it and assign it. So there are so many different things. Like here's the review button. I can go in and expand the rows so that I can see every single question. I can add items if I wanted to by using this edit button. And so when I'm in editing, then I can add items to it if I wanted to pick more questions. It is just a vast amount of information that you can actually use for your class. You have to publish it in order to use it. That's the biggest thing is publishing it. So I know that was a quick rundown of how you do things in Edulastic, but again, this webinar is for you to just see how I use it in my classroom and what options are out there. This is just a list of my classes. Here's where the button where it says sync with Google Classroom. So you can click on that and it'll bring all those Google Classroom in. And you can do that if you have a student that comes in halfway through the year and you want them, they're in your Google Classroom, you just sync it with Google Classroom again and it will be there. So I'm going to go back to here, and a few things I've learned through trial and error. First of all, nobody's perfect. There are incorrect answers on the Edulastic, and sometimes the students will find them, and sometimes I'll find them beforehand. You can go in and check them ahead of time, but most of the time the kids will find them and they'll say, I am putting this is the right answer, but it's counting it wrong. So then you can go in and fix it to the right answer. So that's one thing. The scoring in Edulastic, the points that the other teachers who have made the questions the points that they assign them may not be what you want, so you can go in and change that. Cheating is a big thing. I make all my kids show work on a separate sheet of paper, and I actually, they have to submit that, and they do not get credit for doing the Edulastic unless their work is submitted. I know I'm a mean teacher because they're like, well, I did all the work, I just didn't turn it in. Well, the work creates the actual grade in my case. So, but cheating, if it's multiple choice, sometimes the kids will know that, oh, I picked A for this one and that one was wrong. So now this time I'm going to pick C, and I'll go back and check and see if that answer is correct with her. You know, kids find creative ways to cheat, and they'll find every way under the sun. The releasing scores, if you have that button clicked, that you'll release the scores right after the test is submitted, well then they'll go in and see which ones they have right and wrong, and then they'll just share their right and wrong answers with their friends, so that their friends really don't have to show the work. So that's why I always put no to releasing scores, and I will release them later. Again, I talked about showing work, but that's a requirement in math for me anyway. They have to show their work all the time. Checking their work and their answers. Here's another thing they like to do. They like to just jot like the problem down and then the answer, and then the work in between is not really the work for that problem, because they think that I'm going to just say, oh yeah, there's a bunch of work on this paper, they must have done the work. No, I actually sit and grade. I sometimes spot check. I sometimes sit and grade all of them, which is, I'll be honest with you, takes a lot of time. But for me, it's worth it because I know that my students are really learning if I can see the process and the work that they are putting into their answers. And I mark it wrong on their paper. If they got it correct 100% in Edulastic, but their work does not match, those problems are wrong. And so they will not get full credit. There is an auto close, so it automatically closes. So you don't have to go in and hit close when the test is done. You can set it up to automatically close. But when that happens, it kicks the kids out, whether they're done or not. It's an automatic close. So it kicks them out. And sometimes that has happened where the student is like, I didn't get done. Well, you've had a week to do it. So you needed to manage your time better. So that does happen. The redirecting issues I kind of addressed already, where when you redirect it, the students actually have to go through and click through all of their answers that are correct. And then the submitted versus graded, I kind of talked about that already with when they show work and they think that they get 100%, and then I check their work and their work doesn't match their answers. So those are just some tidbits of things that I learned through trial and error. By no means am I an expert on Edulastic. I just have learned something new every year, and I've played around with it. I've grown to understand it a little bit better just through trial and error. I love Edulastic. They're not paying me to say that, but I do love Edulastic, and the kids hate Edulastic, but I really feel that it has made a difference in what the students are learning from me, and it gives them a little bit of accountability. It gives them time management skills. Again, there's feedback for them. There's communication with me as a teacher through email and coming up to my desk and talking to me about things. There's peer help. I don't allow them to work with each other in the classroom. I know that it happens, but they will work and try to figure things out together. So there are a lot of advantages to it. You just have to work through the issues that come up as they do. So again, I am not I don't know everything about Edulastic, but I do know that I feel that it is very helpful to the students, and that they are learning more and retaining more information with math when I assign these Edulastics. Because sometimes I'll assign an Edulastic in the second 9 weeks of something that we did in the first 9 weeks so that they can keep those skills active. So I thank you for listening to this presentation. I hope that it has been helpful for you. Maybe it has opened your eyes to another platform that you can use. I can be reached at hmiller@tuslawschools.org if you have any additional questions for me. So I appreciate you taking the time to watch the webinar. Have a great rest of your summer.